Weather for Weather Geeks time on a Friday, a chilly Friday across the area. We've seen a few snowflakes flying in the air across the region today. Hey, real quick, speaking of snow and cold, of course, we have a major national weather story next week. It's going to impact us here in eastern Ohio and western PA, and that is some serious Arctic cold for this time of the year, an air mass that's a little more typical of December or especially January. And no doubt you've heard polar vortex being thrown around and all sorts of other terms that people should probably just stay away from if they're not going to use them the correct way. Just to set the record straight, because I've mentioned the polar vortex a couple of times as well on this video and in other postings. The polar vortex always exists. It usually is hanging out up around the Arctic Circle, polar vortex. But every now and then, every single winter that's ever occurred, pieces of the polar vortex can come down and cause some weather changes across Canada and the US. The cold air itself is not the polar vortex. The polar vortex is not diving into the US next week, as I've seen some headlines say. A piece of the polar vortex is breaking loose and is going to direct cold air into the US next week. But cold air is not the vortex. The vortex is, it's like saying, you know, it's like your clothes dryer dries your clothes. That doesn't mean your clothes are the clothes dryer. And maybe it's kind of a clumsy analogy, but the polar vortex is the thing responsible for directing the cold air, or at least partly responsible for directing the cold air in. The cold air itself is not the vortex. So, a little note on that. Take everything you hear, especially on national news programs, whether it be the evening news or especially the morning shows. None of them do weather very well. And so I would encourage you to download the WFMJ mobile app. There are many, many great weather apps out there, and there are many not so great ones. Some of the more well-known ones, including the stock app that comes with your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, comes with this generic weather app. It's now powered by the Weather Channel. This is fine if you want the temperature, if you want what the barometer is, if you want to know what time the sunset is. But if you want to forecast, this gets you absolutely nowhere. If you look at the stock iPhone app today, it's got little snowflakes on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Hopefully you can see that. And if you just took a quick glance at this and didn't, kind of try to uncover the truth a little bit better, you would think, oh my gosh, it's going to snow next Wednesday and Thursday. The truth is that there might be a flurry or two, but it's not going to snow next Wednesday or Thursday. A lot of these weather apps are great for current conditions, not so great for forecasts. For forecasts, check out the WFMJ mobile app. We type in those forecasts ourselves. There's nothing computer generated about them. All right, enough of my soapbox. Let's get on with it. Today it's windy, it's cold, and we've got a lot of clouds around. Here are the 2 o'clock hour temperatures, mid-30s, and what you see is what you get the rest of the day. Today it's going to hold steady, middle and upper 30s. Flurries are fading away right now, sprinkles and flurries out there. Most of these now are east of I-79. High school playoff action this evening. I think it'll be dry, but it will be brisk, and it certainly will be cold out there. In fact, I can bring up the wind chills just to see what they say this afternoon. And right now it feels like 29 in Youngstown, 30 in Newcastle, 32 Akron, Canton. Wind chills this evening. Once the sun sets, we'll be in the middle and upper 20s. The wind will start to diminish, but of course the temperature will be dropping, making the wind chill even colder. Well, where's this cold air mass that's coming next week? Well, it's really starting to pick up a little bit of steam, if you will, up here across the northern reaches of Canada. Let me take off the satellite picture here, and we'll actually bring up the latest model guidance for us in terms of the temperature contours. There's a minus 34, there's a minus 33. So the cold air is building up here in the Northwest Territories of Canada, and chunks of this are going to start coming east and south over the next several days, with the mother load coming at the end of next week and into next weekend and beyond. I've posted a couple of times on this. This really is looking like this is going to be a cold snap that lasts perhaps to Thanksgiving. What I mean by cold snap is below average temperatures. It's not going to be below zero or anything, but it will be colder than average, it looks like, very consistently for at least the next couple of weeks, if not all the way to Thanksgiving. So that's, a pretty significant cold snap, and we could be talking about one of the coldest Novembers on record if this works out here in Youngstown. Let's focus on the rain tomorrow, though, because we do have some more rain heading our way. We'll bring up the latest NAM model and show you the simulated radar. We'll kick things off tomorrow morning, so you can plan your Saturday. This is a weak cool front, very little temperature change on either side of it. No rain to start Saturday, but by lunchtime and into the early afternoon, here's 1 p.m., This isn't going to be much, but a couple of showers will pivot through as we get into the early afternoon hours, late afternoon as well. Here's let's back this up here to 5 p.m., 4 p.m. actually. A couple of showers around, nothing real heavy. Not everyone will get a shower. This is, the kind of, we put those percentages on our 7-day forecast, chance of rain in your backyard, measurable rain at any point in the day. This is probably somewhere between a 40 and a 60 pop, we call it, percentage chance of precipitation. So yeah, just a little bit of a nuisance. That's all. So let's talk about what happens for the rest of the weekend and beyond. Sunday's an uneventful day. Show you the national view here. Sunday, a little warm front will sneak through. It won't be that warm just yet, but I think Monday is a nice mild day. Our warm front at this point is up here across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. This storm will start to produce some snow, accumulating snow in parts of the Midwest on Monday. By Tuesday, the whole system's pushing east, and especially late Tuesday into Tuesday night, I think there will be some rain showers around. And perhaps at the very end of this late Tuesday night, maybe some snowflakes, but nothing that will stick. This will be mostly rain. But of course, the big story then becomes the cold. Arctic high pressure system slipping into the U.S. This is a high pressure system that is up to 1048, perhaps even 1052 millibars. That is really, really strong high pressure. This is kind of high pressure that if you have a home barometer, the needle's way over here. This is the kind of thing we typically see more often in January, really strong Arctic highs like this. And, the cold air just gets in, and I think there's going to be some lake effect snow that develops. It's probably not super heavy because the winds will be, not, they'll be flailing around a little bit. We won't have consistent, strong fetch off the lakes, but I think there'll be a couple or a few inches at least in some of the traditional snow belts in upstate New York, extreme northwest PA up around Erie, and perhaps the eastern suburbs of Cleveland and heading over towards Ashtabula County as well. But over the next 6, 7, 8, 9 days, sure, it's going to be cold here in Youngstown and surrounding areas, but not particularly snowy at all, aside from some flurries next week. Here's the 16-day GFS temperature trend. Here's our warm-up early next week. And then after that, we're going to, this might be a stretch of a week to 10 days where we are hard-pressed to get above 40. And 45 or 50, almost out of the question. We're going to have a long stretch of temperatures 10 to 15 below average in terms of the highs. Could take us all the way to Thanksgiving. So this means some business. All right, that's today's weather for Weather Geeks. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see you on Monday. Be sure and check out Andrew's forecast tomorrow morning on WFMJ Weekend Today, and meteorologist Mike Joyce in Saturday and Sunday evenings, 21 News at 6 and 11. Follow them on social media as well if you haven't done so already.